Ready to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're here with the Stoke wizard, Richard Tebb.
What's up?
We got to get into how you become a wizard. I think we got to go back. We got to go back with this. You can't just dive into becoming a wizard.
Yeah, fully.
It was funny. I remember when I first came here, someone's like, "What are you doing in Tassie?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've just come to see the Stoke wizard." And they're like, "Who's the Stoke wizard?" I was like, "I don't know, but he lives at the Froth Factory."
Yeah,
and they're just like, "Who the hell is that?" So
yeah.
No, I think you got to jump back a bit then, because it's like, I don't actually know how you became the Stoke wizard either.
Fully.
I've just known you as the Stoke wizard. Like, I don't actually
Well,
know where he comes
I guess
from.
also that's a hard question because it's like, at what point does bread become toast in the toaster?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get ya.
But I actually landed the nickname from a mate, Remy and Kerry, that live locally here around the northeast, and they were thinking about nicknames and stuff, and we were talking Stoke mastery and doing a master's in Stokeology and all this stuff, and then they're like, no, you're the Stoke wizard.
Yeah.
I think because of all the colours and stuff, but. And
are you someone before you're a wizard? Is it like an internship to become a wizard?
Yeah,
because you know Harry Potter, he's just a wizard.
Yeah.
Like,
fully.
there's no, like, he's going to school, but like, he's already got the qualification before he's actually finished.
I think it kind of started when I started to figure out that like encouraging people, there's this inception that can happen. Like, you encourage someone else, and then they lift up, then they encourage you, and then it bounces to and forth and stuff like that.
Yeah, it builds on itself.
I was doing like some little boot camps and stuff, and was really massive about that. And then and then I think that whole stoking the fire up in people.
Something doesn't really happen enough.
No, people get a bit inwards and sometimes, but I think it's like. It's better to. I reckon it's better to be over the top than
under. Yeah.
But
you'd rather be the person that someone remembers for lifting them up, not putting them down or like bringing them down.
And I mean, every now and again, like if you're riding with new people and stuff, they might be a bit like off put.
Yeah.
Like how much is going around, but I think it was like once I got out of the army and really kind of had to learn like where I sat in the world or where I was going, and going to some doofs and stuff and festivals, and really stepped into my own, and being around a bunch of people that like I wasn't self-conscious about doing extra or being a bit extra.
You being yourself.
I was like, on a mate's property, like, do you mind if I like get on the motorbike and have a razz? They're like, no. Get amongst it.
Well, let's set this back then, because obviously this is like something you weren't always that person then, or like were you always this like go way back?
We'll go
way back.
Further back.
We'll paint the people a picture of before you were a wizard. Because you grew up in, your parents are from Tassie. You're from Tassie originally.
Yeah.
And then I feel like a lot of people in Tassie seem to stay in Tassie, but you left for a bit.
Yeah,
up to Townsville for a little bit. Was that the first move?
Yeah, that was the first move. Yeah.
Do you find because I find a lot of people in Tassie, like, I feel like because it's an island, they just kind of they stay in the nest. They don't really fly out.
Dude, fully.
So why did you want to get out, or was it like a push to get out?
I think since a young kid, wanting to join the army and stuff, and I was I'm not gonna lie, like back in the day, it was a pretty rough neighborhoods and stuff, and that was like a good way out off the island.
Yeah.
Not having like ambition to really move or get around, and that was like a nudge, and just to be a bit more, and contribute. And then once that happened, and went around Australia a bit within the Defence Force and stuff. And
was it hard, like, leaving though? Like, did you feel like that was a big move to get out, or was that something because you put off for a while, or was it just like how did that come about?
So I was actually in Army Reserves whilst being an apprentice spray painter.
Yeah. What age was this?
This is like
this is
19, 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, nearly 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
And and then I jumped in reserves and found out like I really enjoyed it, the challenge, and then put my transfer in for full time, and so it was like an ongoing transition for a while to go full time. It took like 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I'd mentally prepared for it for a bit, and then
was it what you expected, or was like joining the army, was it more or less, or like
there's like
were you shocked by anything?
I was shocked about like there's a bit of waiting around. like when you're doing stuff, but it was pretty fun. Like there was some cool stuff that we did that, you're doing a video game or something like that, but it was, it was really good and definitely dug deep and learnt a bit more what I could go through physically and mentally and stuff. And now I look back on it and then it's like something that I reference that I know that I can get through something else because I've gone through.
Yeah, you've gone through that.
What
do you think was the biggest thing you learnt from it, or you could take away from it?
Probably like my own ability to sort out my stuff, or what if I need to.
Yeah, you can dig deeper. Or there's a bit more. Yeah,
like if I need to get over a hurdle or something like that. Adaptation.
Do they just put you in situations where they're just... Because I know they kind of... My dad had a friend, I think he was in the special forces, I think in England or something.
Yeah.
And they said they'd just like try and break people, where they'd take people out for like 4 or 5 days, like rafting or something. They said when you get to this checkpoint, you'll have food, the thing's done, you're all good, and they get there and no one's there, and there's like a note saying, all right, now go back.
Yeah.
It's just like they just break people.
Definitely like strip down the layers, and really you get to see the real raw you, and you're being like utmost vulnerable around your peers and stuff, and that's where I think that camaraderie really is well up there, because
you got people at breaking point.
You're like you're digging pits and like you're falling asleep mid swing and stuff.
You're exhausted.
But so like physically and mentally, like it was awesome, and also like a pivotal point as well. Like it kind of got me out of a worse place in a way, from like my childhood or that. What I was getting about, or like...
Is that the main reason you saw it as like an out from where you were, the situation you were? Was it more like this, like, was it... I wouldn't just say passion, but like, it was more like, this is my way out of here.
Yeah.
Not so much like something you really wanted to do? Is that...
Well, I actually... I wanted to like help people at the utmost risk to my own self in a way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And to be a part of, a massive organisation that is about helping people and stuff. But that was my idea, and kind of like and I think this is where that stoking up people also rose to the surface a bit, because you are like putting yourself through this, no sleep, heaps of physical activities and tasks just down to the bone.
Yeah, you're breaking yourself.
And the thing that I found that got me over the line and other people's over the line was just stoking them up, or like just being silly or talking shit when it's like raining and you're like your pack is drenched. It's got like extra 20 kilos of water because it's just soaking up, and you just be silly and just be like, oh, it could be snowing,
Yeah.
And that, I think that's...
Did you feel like that was just changing people's mindsets, like in that situation?
Yeah. Some people, it pissed off some people, to be honest. Like I heard,
they're probably...
too much positivity, and and it's, they kind of wanted us to be in a state, and...
Well, that's the thing, they're there to break you, so if you're not getting broken, it's like, I reckon it's like their own insecurities in themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I think David Goggins talks about that when he was in Hell Week.
Yeah.
And they would just be like, they'd just be yelling back at the instructors and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously the instructors went through the same
shit.
So it's like, they're trying to break them. And then if they're just laughing and going, no, you can't kind of thing, it's like...
For sure,
it's gonna upset some people.
Yeah,
but like I think people want you to fail in that scenario. But if you dig deep and go through it, you just gonna kind of piss them off.
Fully, and be a bit of a larrikin, and and like the instructors and stuff. It was annoying to them sometimes, But it was a really, really, really hard experience, and definitely like pivotal point. And I sustained a few injuries that I have to manage every day. And that has moulded my life a bit. But once you do it so often, it's just, those are the cards you dealt. And,
Was that in a training exercise?
Yeah, so I never actually deployed overseas.
Yeah.
It was within Australia.
Yeah. That was the goal, though, to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have happened. Where would you have gone?
Probably the Ghan or Iraq or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you mentally prepared if that was the case to go? Like you were in that mindset that this is going to happen? And...
Yeah, for a while we were on like notice to move.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
How was that, like feeling that, hey, this is going to happen? Like, was it nerves or kind of excitement that you've trained for this?
Bit of both, really, because you put so much a view into the training that you think like, oh, yeah, you know, you want to apply it, you know, to the real deal. And that's when you really know actually about yourself and what you've done and the training you've done and stuff. But I
guess it's just all this training for something I guess you don't want to happen, but like if it is going to happen, you want to be prepared. But
so it was you know, I think there's massive silver linings as well with that sort of thing, because I don't know, maybe I wasn't mentally cut out for such intense situations and stuff, but maybe it was. I don't know.
Were you kind of like, when you did end up getting out, were you kind of happy about that you didn't get deployed in the end, or were you kind of?
Well, yeah, I guess in a way, for sure. Like, I think like talking to some mates and stuff that I can't really dig too deep into that, but basically coming back and they're coming back and they're a bit down because of the level of alertness that they've been on.
Yeah, and probably some of the stuff they would have seen as well.
Yeah, potentially,
like PTSD kind of thing.
Yeah, and so that was it was. I guess it would be pretty gnarly.
You kind of don't know what you're going to get.
No,
because you know some people go to war and obviously you see some stuff and like some stuff you can't really shake, can you?
You don't really know yourself, I guess, until you're put into certain situations.
Yeah,
like
that's the thing. You know, when so many people say, I would have treated that differently. But I'm like, how would you know how to treat that? Because for one, you're not even close to being in that situation.
Yeah, for sure.
And like two, it's like you're never going to make the same call. And if you haven't lived even a day in that person's life, how are you supposed to make a call of like what they should or shouldn't do?
For sure.
It's like you always hear like people look at like sporting people or celebrities do something like, I wouldn't have done that. It's like, do you have $100 million in the bank?
Exactly.
Are you that good looking? Or like all these things, like they're all factors that change.
There's a lot of variables involved.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, you put all those into it and you don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
It's like
how good of sleep you had the night before.
Exactly. And if you put it in the spot as well, it's like, which way is this going to go? I'd really just like it when people say, I would have done that differently. I'm like, you're not even close to knowing what to do in that situation. And like, yes, you might have done it differently. It's like when I've a lot lately. It's all about like people like I've been hearing it's like famous people saying how like fame's like the worst thing that can happen to you because it's like you don't know how to handle it properly, and everyone's like, I want to be rich and famous and all that. And I'm like, but like why? Like why though? What's the reason behind it? So you can have more time with your family, or so you can be seen by people. Like if you don't know what that is, it's like, why do you want something you have no idea what it's actually like, kind of thing?
I guess it's the same with like the Defence Force and armies and war and stuff. That Hollywood has a lot of input on that, movies and video
it's massive,
games and stuff, and that's probably like half the reason why I joined was you know, I'm love a bit of gaming and stuff, and from being younger and so that was it's definitely a massive pivotal point in my life.
If you could go back and do it all again, would you? Would you go through and jump through what it was able to teach you?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because like, I mean, if you look at it all like as like the butterfly effect with stuff in your life. Yeah. That I am as happy as I've ever been in my entire life right now. Yeah. Yeah. You know,
and that's the thing. And yesterday made you who you are today.
100%. Yeah. And so to try and pick and choose your journey, if you will. It's you can't take some cuts out there. You've got to actually accept that stuff. And
as normally the bad stuff as well. Like that's the thing. It's like all the bad shit. Everyone's like, I wish nothing bad ever happened to me. It's like you probably wouldn't grow as a person then, would you?
It's the same with like being at school and stuff. If you were like, you know, maybe a popular kid or something like that you know, or you know, having everything kind of handed to you and you don't work as hard.
Yeah, life doesn't hit you in the face
yet. So And I guess that's probably why I was like a bit resilient to like hardship times and stuff from like back in the day stuff, which helped out in the field and everything. But so
So once you come out of that, like you say, you've come out of the military now. Yeah. You're still in Townsville at this point?
Yeah, I was.
In Townsville?
I didn't know where I was going to go. I was thinking about going back to Tassie, but I was worried that was a step backwards. Yeah. And so I ended up like pretty much living in my station wagon for a year. Just driving around. A mate, Boris, he introduced me to the doof scene, and
was it Boris that brought you into it?
He was
That's funny.
I was a month out of the army, and he's like, "I've got you a gig doing photography at a doof up in Cairns."
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right, yeah."
Shout out Boris.
Yeah.
Extreme bicycle stunts.
Extreme bicycle
That's
stunts,
funny that
man.
he does not come across as. So if anyone, this guy's like looks like the most straight edge person
Yeah.
you've ever seen. He, like mountain bike guy, like absolute legend. But it's just funny. He just goes to these Tassie doofs and just goes hard in the paint. It's just like his reset time. And
Yeah,
it's just
that's his. He's comfortable in
you
those.
need that balance.
Yeah.
But if you saw him like on the street, you'd be like, yeah, you wouldn't listen to techno music.
Yeah,
Get silly in the bush. But
fully.
he loves it.
Yeah,
so he introduced you to that, and then
and got a pretty
you hooked on it instantly. You're like, I found my people.
I got a touch up basically. Like I went in not knowing what to expect, and I was actually like, "Wow, this is the first night." I was like, "Whoa, this is a bit
lot.
This is a bit funny. No one's trying to fight each other, comparing to going out to town or whatever."
Yeah.
So it's like it was just like the raw love within like the community that people were like really nice, and that's what really hooked me is like the amount of love that's going around, and
that's one
keep
thing
an eye on each other.
That's one thing, because you go to like normal music festivals as well, and there's normally like fights, there's normally there's just all this shit that goes on with it, and there's heaps of security, and there's heaps of police, and it's quite
real cliquey groups, and just the walls are up a bit.
It's very toxic. Like, yes, there's some really good acts, and it is a beautiful place as well. But there's like a lot of toxicity that goes around at music festivals, and like
tinnies on the floor everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of rubbish, and like it's almost like when you see like the Melbourne Cup and all the people afterwards, like the aftermath of it, and it's made out to be this like real I can't talk. Prestigious race, and then afterwards it's just like a shit show.
Yeah,
and I guess it's like that's at some music festivals. But then I found when I came to like started going to doofs and like more music festivals, more, I guess, focused on just like it's just more of a love thing. Hey? Everyone's just it's art, love, connection,
you
nature.
can kind of tell that people are going extra. They're not quoting per hour on everything they do. It's very like volunteer based.
Yeah,
and and
you learn a lot as well.
Yeah,
like there's always workshops, and there's just things to make you better people. Like just breath work stuff. Like you go to one, you're just like, these are just everyone. Like you're almost waiting. You're like, what's your angle here?
Yeah.
Or like what's like
There's all walks of life kind of stuff. It's super. I've met some super interesting characters. Much like yourself.
That's actually pretty cool. We got to tell us. So I first met the Stoke Wizard. It was at like because I just met Isabel like a couple weeks before.
Yeah.
And it was so funny when I first met her. She's like, I've got some bike friends, because she like saw that I rode bikes. And she's like, I've got a few bike friends. I remember her saying it so clearly. It's pretty funny looking back now. But then, so I met her, and then I was pretty hooked. And she's like, oh, this little doof music festival thing's on in Tassie in a couple of weeks' time. I'm like, I'm there. Buy me ticket. Like I'm there. I was fully hooked. So anyway, fly over there, come to the festival. And I met it with Bal. We're hanging out, and this guy, and like I think you're in a party shirt on a bike, and you kind of come up to us, and I was just like, hey, how's it going? And Bal said hey to you, and you just like looked like you're in this absolute state, hey? Like you just had a lot of fun the night before. Anyway, we go over to like the easy up you were at, and you're trying to make breakfast, and you just, you know when you see someone just battling, like you were just, you're like trying to scramble eggs or cook eggs and bacon, and you were just taking so long, and I was just kind of watching out the corner of my eye, like, is this guy all good? Like fully just, and then you finally made this bacon and egg sandwich, and you took one bite, and you're like, I can't eat that. And it was like this absolute battle to get to this point where you're like, well, this is useless anyway. So I saw that, and I kind of didn't think a whole lot of it. I was like, oh, poor guy, like he did a big one. Then anyway, me and Belle just go about the rest of the day, and then it comes to about like 6 or 7 at night. And we come back to the tent, and Richard's full dressed head to toe in a suit. He's got like his camera gear, he's got like his lanyard because he's shooting photography at this festival. Yeah. And I was just looking at it, I was like, what? Like, have you seen Limitless? When he like has the pill and like he sorts his shit out. He sorts his whole shit. Like gets a haircut, gets a new job. He can write it. Like from literally that morning to that night, I was like, oh my god, this man's transformed himself. He's gone and seen Tony Robbins or something. And he's done a seminar. He's awakened the beast within.
Awakened the giant.
He's awakened the giant. Like done everything. And I was just like, damn. And I just remember it was just the funniest thing. This change in like how you went from that to that. And then after that, we seemed to get along pretty well.
Yeah, fully.
Here we are now, but it was a funny way to meet someone.
I remember I remember Bell saying, "Oh, I've got a mate who rides bikes. He's from Victoria.
Yeah.
He raced at Medina, the Nationals, like the week before or something like that."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, sweet, rad."
Yeah.
Not really, in the know. And then I remember we were next to the dance floor. I was like, "Oh yeah, so you're like into bikes a bit?" And you're like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I go right.
Well, what else do you do? What do you do for work back home? Ride bikes?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, sweet."
That's funny because I never really talk about it. Hey, like I never really promote it. Like it's like,
Yeah.
So it is funny. And then it was funny when you came back and like Katie Lawler's your housemate, and you were just like, I think she said to you, I was at the festival or something because I put up a photo.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I was like, just so casual. She was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, she was tripped out. It's just a small world.
Yeah.
I think Tassie's a small world within a small world.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
you do definitely meet everyone. But yeah, that was that was a heap of fun.
That was a hoot.
But like you said, like the diversity in people that actually go to those things, and I think for a lot of people, they look at it from the outside and they probably just think this is all hippie shit.
Yeah,
like
just going for a rave.
Yeah,
or something.
It's like people do go like a bit over the top and get on it and do get a bit silly. But on the whole, like, but even the people doing that, they're all nice people. Like they might get a bit silly, but like they're not going to do any harm. Like,
and there's a whole little tribe to like pull them back onto path if they come astray.
Yeah, exactly.
Too far. But that was a good party, that one. Yeah.
Because I think as well, like in those groups, there's a lot of like, because like now in like society, we don't really go to like our elders, or like it kind of gets to the point where it's like, as soon as someone's a bit older than you, you kind of look at it as like, it's because I think now with like the whole internet and your phone, it's like, well, I know everything.
Yeah.
Or if I don't know it, I can know it in 5 seconds. But it's like, there's a lot of stuff you can't learn from just like reading it. Like you need to actually live it or have someone explain it to you. Yeah. And I think when someone actually has like lived to that age, like they've obviously been through it all. So I might go to them.
Probably
and I think worth a listen. And I think it like I said, those doof things, there's like workshops and stuff, and people are
really open and stuff. And you actually like have a chat to someone for more than 10 minutes and have a listen. It's so hard these days for people talk and not really listen. They're just waiting to talk again.
They're just trying to get out what they're saying.
And just come at it with a bit of compassion and stuff, and you'll be surprised what people are about and stuff. And I think that's what's so good about these places is like you feel safe to actually drop your walls and really get to know people. You
can be vulnerable.
Yeah, get to know other people. But I definitely probably one of the most pivotal moments was at a doof in 2019.
So not long ago. That was a good year.
And I had a moment in the van, and like coming, being in an organisation where it's uniformed, like wearing the greens every day, to then coming out of the Defence Force and hitting the doof scene, and where you're pretty much taught to look exactly like everyone else. And so there was a moment where I was having trouble deciding what to fucking wear. Yeah. And you care. Yeah, I was just like, and I was like, is it okay to like, because there's like very diverse fashion sense at a doof, I would say. And
people are very individual.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? I'm a skater. I like to skate. Yeah. I'm gonna wear skate stuff, like. Yeah. So I did it, and I sat with it, and it was like, and then I met like 6 skaters that night, like and made heaps of skater friends. Yeah, it's so funny.
That's the thing. It's like when you be yourself, you attract other people that are also on that same level, or same vibe, or whatever you want to call it. But if you're trying to be someone else, you're not going to attract the right people.
Yeah, you'll attract the other people that are doing a similar thing, and then you'll realize, like, we don't
actually like this. This isn't us. Yeah, that's probably the both ends of the spectrum, really.
Yeah,
army to doof life is there's a big gap in between that.
Yeah.
But that's something like I think like even I know when I went there, it's like I remember I went to the one up in Queensland with Belle, and I got there and like I had my watch on and like some jeans and stuff, and like I was just like went to the dance and I was like, I just don't feel right. Yeah. Like I just felt really like this isn't me out of place. So I went back, like threw the phone in the car, took the watch off, put some like real baggy pants on, went back, and I'm like, okay, this is better.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like having that. because so many people care what other people actually think when no one gives a shit. Like, no one cares. No one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah.
It's like, you can dress or whatever, and you have these internal battles with yourself, like, other people think this or that.
Sure.
No one gives a shit. Most of the time, people are like I had people come up to me, like, other writers about doing the hair thing, and they're like, oh, I wish I was like, wish I had, like, confidence to do that. And I was like, no one cares, man. Like, just do it. Like, if you want to do it, do it.
You kind of like the whole, it sounds like cliche, but owning it, you know? Like,
it's like, do all you can.
Yeah,
do.
it's like...
Yeah, it's you can only own being yourself.
Yeah. And I definitely found, like, that, like, slowly, once I got out, and slowly was doing a bit more things, and, you know, and it's like even like, you know, wearing pit vipers now and stuff like that. Back then, I was no way I would like wear something like that, you know, and but yeah,
even with the hair thing, like I remember before I started doing it, I would think like, oh, it'd be funny for like a party, but then you've actually got to go back to reality and real life, and people would see you, and then like I thought about that after I started doing it and stopped caring. I was like, I used to think like that. Like I would think like going to a restaurant like by myself before I met up with someone and I've got like bright pink hair that, oh no. And then you're like, no one cares. No. Most people think it's cool.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, who cares? If you're worried about hair, man, like fuck, go do something else. But like the same with you said, like with your glasses or anything like that, it's like as soon as you have a bit of individuality, I think a lot of people freak out because like they want to be more individual, but you're in a system where everyone is kind of gets rewarded for looking the same.
Being the same, and I mean it goes from like being in high school and primary school where you're, you know, wearing uniform and walking in line and stuff like that. So but yeah, I think it's I really admire that about people that you know, had their own little bit of extra spice and pizzazz and stuff like that.
Because I think, like you mentioned there at schools, like I don't think a lot of the time they actually push kids to be themselves. It is like fall in line, and you get some teachers that I think are passionate and want to obviously promote that, but I don't think it's like told enough that hey, you don't have to fall into the normal job that everyone else is doing or the rest of your family's done. Like you can step out and do whatever you want. And I think more in university they obviously push that, but you've kind of picked what that is. But I think schools should be like a lot more broad. It's like,
for sure.
Not so much like black and white. It's like, hey, look at all these colours. Like you can do whatever you want, kind of thing.
I think there are some alternative schools out
there. I have heard that. I haven't looked so much into it, but I think if I were a kid, I think I'd push them towards something like that.
That don't hit the books until like 4 years in or something, and they're just experimenting with what kids want, like gardening and whatever.
Well, that's one thing. It's like you don't have a lot of connections with all these other jobs, and then as soon as you leave it, you're like, oh my god, the world's so big, and like obviously I get there's certain like parts of the education system you do need to do and you need to focus on, but I think they need to have more like a broad range of, hey, what do you actually want to do? Because it's pretty scary for like a kid to like you're still a kid when you leave school, and it's like, all right, now you got to go pick a go to do a trade or go do something. It's like you've got to commit 4 years of your life to that.
And it's
like you don't know what you
how do you know until you're doing it,
you
know? And I guess people think they're locked in, and it can be hard to change the game. But it's
you get stuck in the trap, and like you just go around the hamster wheel, and then you jump off at a certain age, and you're like, oh shit, that was
it's like, and the game's changing as well with like the internet and
that old thing,
that big old web, and you know, like all these other platforms, like you can, you know, kids can. What do you want to do when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a professional gamer. You know, that's a thing.
That's a thing now, you know? Like the amount of jobs that are like and more open up as well. Like obviously as some goes, new ones arise. So it's like, and it's like, there's just, you don't know like in another 15 years what a normal profession might look like. So like imagine even podcasting. Like even this is like, imagine if 10 years ago, I want to do a podcast. I'm like, what's a podcast? You want to do radio? Where are you going to do radio? Like it's like, now it's such a common thing. It's so easy to do and produce, and like obviously you can be successful doing
for
this.
Sure. So. And like the ability to gather information, like YouTube, like super handy.
The ultimate teacher. Ultimate teacher.
What's this box that comes up during the, you know?
How many times do you reckon you like will go on YouTube to learn a new thing? Like whether it's on a camera, on like, I reckon if I'm actually trying to learn something, I'd probably be on and off YouTube like 3 or 4 times within that
agreed.
dealing.
In that stint, for sure. I'm about to partake in music production.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
With Boris? Is that
Boris is gonna help me, and he gets taught from Grouch, which is pretty cool. And so that's the next thing. I'm just gonna tick off a few larger video projects that I want to finish up, and then it's in, and it'd be YouTube on one screen, and the program on another, and get
into it. Another thing, because we've left Townsville, and I remember talking about this. I actually forgot about it, and Isabel reminded me of it. But you had a little stint there where you've obviously not in the army, but you became, well, you might have still been in the army. You became a stripper for a little bit. I forgot all about this.
Oh my God, that's a curveball. I didn't see that coming. Well played.
I forgot about it as well. I was in the
my
car,
God.
And I was like, I think I'm going to do a podcast with Richard. And I was like, what do you reckon I should ask him? And I had a few questions. And then I was like, ask me about being a stripper. And I was like, oh, yes.
That's a cracker. Oh, my God.
Was that after you left the army?
No, that was around when I first started, actually, when I was in Army Reserves.
So were you making money in Army Reserves?
Yeah.
Oh, so you were. So just a bit of grinding on the outside.
Yeah.
That's literally a side hustle.
Yeah, that's tax-free income.
Is it just cash?
The Army Reserve.
Oh, okay.
Army Reserve's tax-free income, so you can actually be on Centrelink benefits and stuff. So I was actually like...
What about the stripping? Is that...
that was, cold hard. Cold hard.
Just whatever you...
use an invoice, my ABM, but I'm sure there are exotic dancers out there that roll. Yeah, fully.
Got like a check in your underwear.
FPOS, tap square. Tap and pay. That's...
Did you have the square on the front or the back? On the back.
Definitely on the back, because then you could add a bit of extra, lean into it.
You get a little sign, tap that ass, and just each tap for $5.
Yeah, fully.
That's the way of the future.
Yeah.
If there's any strippers listening to this, we've just helped you massively.
So
I wonder how many actually, if there is, there's probably one out there that's just like, yes. Thank you.
Well, I would imagine the square, the little squarey tap and go thing would be all the rage.
I thought you were going to say, I'm sure there's a lot of strippers that listen to this.
Well, I mean, it
would be good.
It takes a bit of time, because if you're having like tipping dollars and stuff, they would have to go and purchase the tipping dollars and then give them to the performer, and then they have to cash them in at the end.
Yeah, true.
So this would get rid of all of that. Wow.
So Derby is getting a strip club. No, anyway, back. We haven't even heard anything. So how did that come about? How did that come about?
So I actually did dancing in end of high school and college.
Yeah.
And ended up like being in a bit of a dance crew and doing jump rope for heart, and the thing was like popping and locking and all that jazz. And then basically when I was like 19ish, and me and a mate, like Magic Mike was all the rage and stuff, and I'm like,
it's my time.
I could make some money out of dancing.
Yeah.
And my older brother actually for my 18th birthday took me to a strip club, which was pretty interesting.
R&D.
And
you weren't excited. You were just treating it like a business.
Yeah, I was going, these guys are making a killing. I was talking to them.
Like, you want to strip?
Making like 800 a night and stuff. I was like,
do you have an ABN? Like, what's the go? Is there health benefit here? What's there's a bonus system? Like, what? You just they're trying to dance and you're just quizzing her.
Is that like a do I get a stage hand and just off the bat? And she's like, and she was actually like, there's a crew in Hobart called Urban Cowboys, and so I sent him a message, and then shout out to Sarah Muir. I walked in, had a little audition. I actually shared a photo the other day from over 10 years ago, and that photo was from that audition with Sarah Muir.
Did you get it to do that audition, or did you already have it and took it?
No. She took a photo of me when I first met her.
What were you wearing?
Just a black t-shirt.
Oh, so it wasn't like...
No, it wasn't. No, it was just off the phone, just for their books.
I think if I did like a stripper interview, I'd have to just go with like as a stripper. Like, I'd have glitter on me, I'd have like everything, and like I just imagine waiting in like a waiting room, and everyone else is like dressed in like a normal shirt or suit or whatever, and you're like, you guys underdressed. Just looking around like, I got this covered.
Yeah, fully. fully.
Did you have to do anything? Was it like a stripper casting couch in any way?
No, it was basically just a chat, and that I mentioned I had a dancing background and stuff, and then we put some tunes on, and I,
pop and locked it.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't in the most amazing physical condition. I'm pretty sure I was the only stripper of the troupe,
the cowboys,
if you will, that didn't have a six pack.
Yeah.
But I could dance.
Did you
and
own
I
that,
had
though?
fun. Yeah. Like, I think
that's better though.
Yeah,
like, that's actually better. Like, it's like, I think in that setting, it's just like people want to laugh.
Not
at
so
a strip
serious,
club.
Like
If you're serious at a strip club or whatever, it's like,
then
well, if you're a male,
if you're not having fun, they're not going to have fun. It's like DJ, like totally. That helped me with DJing for sure.
Yeah,
with performing and.
Well, this comes back to that saying how we were talking about before, like you stoke people up. I guess, you just you found your calling.
When you walk into a room of like 40, 45 women at a hen's night, and there's like the energy is just like flatline, and you have to. You have to bring that up,
If you
man.
Walked into that where it's just like
it's like Thank God You're Here. You know that TV show. It's Thank God You're Here. Yeah, but there's a process.
Why aren't they pumped up? I thought they'd be all drunk and having a great time.
They might be doing like live drawing or something, like drawing a model or whatever, and so they're just doing some chill activities.
So they don't know you're coming?
Not always, no.
Oh, so you're just like, literally like bust in.
So there was like hens nights at houses. Yeah. There was hens nights at like this pole dancing burlesque academy spot, and then there was ladies nights at like pubs like the Granada or other pubs around Hobart. And
what was your favourite to do? Was it houses or
probably the ladies nights, because you actually have other performers,
and
you're not
a lone wolf out there. Got my boys with me. Got the cowboys.
You've got the
Big Mike
the
and the
backing
boys.
man, Dirty Mike and the boys. Thanks for the F Shack. Oh dang!
I just got you covered. Yeah, that's been pretty burly going into like a house of like 40 women, just like just ready for something.
Yeah,
and you're just like, I gotta bring it.
Yeah, you've got to make sure it's brought.
Yeah,
and
got to get the
there was some crash and burns for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How was that to go through something like that?
Well, I think with a pretty cool, forgiving crowd, it was like my first gig. I was dancing to music that I didn't like. I had wardrobe malfunctions, and
how so?
Like the Velcro down the pants were falling off way before they should have.
Yeah.
And just like I remember that I was a fireman, and
of course you were.
And, I had this like rope that I had to kind of weave around people, but I had to throw it out in one hit. But the whole thing went, and I nearly took someone out. But they were pretty cool. Like I think they got their money back, and they ended up giving me lap dances in the middle of the thing, and I was like, oh.
So if that's a crash and burn, that's not that bad. It's like, just have your money back. We'll start dancing on you. We'll show you how it's done.
But I totally just ripped off Magic Mike, like pretty much all of his moves.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just didn't want the six pack to go with. You're just like, you can keep
I fucking tried, but yeah, I actually ended up like living with him a bit and helped managing the event functions company
for the strip club.
Yeah,
for the cowboys.
They were called Crazy Monkey, which they did male and female performers and stuff like that, and all that sort of thing. And then
did you feel that was good though? Like the vulnerability that came along with being a stripper was like, because like you said, like it's like a comedian or someone on stage, like it's a lot of pressure, and like I think that comes back to like if you fail, like no one really like it doesn't matter.
No,
like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. The world still turns, and it's funny. It makes a good story.
Yeah.
I like to say that, like
Yeah, exactly.
And it was it was just Hobart's pretty small though.
Yeah.
So like when you're like,
hi mum.
I wouldn't generally invite me mum to a gig.
Well, you didn't invite her. She might just be there with the other. I didn't say you
no, it was like
there.
A mate's like, because I played a lot of football as well. Like mate's mum's there, and you're like, hey man, how's Larry going? Yeah, no, they're good. Just going through the motions, just general chit chat. It's pretty funny. But
small stalk.
Again, there was like a lot of stuff that I apply to DJing. Just even getting into character is a big one.
Yeah.
And I'd like do experiments at gigs where I'd like, well, not deliberately, But I'll be like, in full swing, in all the kit, had a sweet show, knock off, get changed, come out as me, and it's just like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
What's he doing here?
Yeah.
So this whole alter ego thing is super important, and I apply that to DJing. That get into the Stoke wizard, if you will.
Do you find that as like you do play a lot of different characters in your life? Like in some ways, like for different crowds. Like, when people say like, "Oh, you've changed," or "You changed for these people," and like, I think like we all slightly change. Like you are
malleable.
You are yourself. Yeah. But like, I think like I get along with a very broad group of people,
fully.
and like I will happily go hang out with people at like a doof community, and then I'll be around athletes that are training real serious, and then I'll be like up with like surfers, and I feel like fully, I can fall into like a lot of places, and it's like you're kind of like a chameleon in a way. You just change your color to blend in, and it's like you're still you, but you kind of like your energy levels change to kind of fit into your group. It's like not, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think some people,
I think it's a really good thing, and like
you're openly accepting of people,
being like a goddess of many faces, if you will, and adapting to different. And you'll learn a lot more in that space.
You open your mind up to new ways of thinking.
Like having friends that are, really tech heavy or something, or it's like a team of wizards, right? They all have a special power in a different, different thing, and if you can all
work together,
and so if you can take a slice from someone else's thing, and they can take a slice from you in a way, then
you can all learn and
you're going to get some shit done.
Because how cool is it when, like, I know as a kid, I used to see how people would do certain things, and I'd just be like, that's wrong, that's not how you do it, you do it like this.
Yeah.
And at some point you have a bit of an epiphany, well, I did anyway, where you're like, that's not wrong. What I'm doing is not wrong. They're just both different.
Yeah, fully.
And I think my way is right. He thinks his way is right. And just because you think something is right doesn't mean it is right. It means it's that way of doing it.
Yeah, that's
and it's so
standard.
funny when you're so quick to judge someone else's way of doing something. Where I'm like, it comes back to you don't know what that's like, and it might be their best way to do something, but not yours, and that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. When I was a spray painter, I wasn't assigned to one tradesman. So I would mask up a door, and then the next tradesman will come and rip it off and be like, "Oh, you need a soft edge there," or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I realized, like, learn from many and choose from few. Yeah. Choose how you want to do it, but still be open to learn everyone's idea and add your take on it. And I think that's good with artwork and having your own signature, even with yourself, I guess. Just
Well, I think it's when you agree to disagree, but that's not a bad thing.
No,
it's like, okay
to be different. Yeah,
because you see, I've got a thing, and I would always say it to my dad. I'd be like, do you want to be right, wrong, or happy?
Yeah,
and like I think because he's a smart person, and he'd always win most arguments, but who really wins an argument? Yeah, it's like you're the one that your points came across in a better way, but now the person you're fighting with is pissed off, and you've got to go apologize and make up for it. Or do you just want to be happy and someone might think someone, instead of being like you're wrong, this is how it is, and just be like
fully do the fact check on Google.
Just be like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
you think that? And it's like it's that whole thing. It's like, have you seen Lord of War? And he's like says like, it's actually Warlord. I like my way better. And it's just like that's the thing. It's like it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be so like true. who says that's the right way to say it. It's like if you like that way better, that's the better way to say it. You don't have to fall into this thing just because the majority do something and you don't do it that it's the wrong thing. It's like it's just your thing, and that's where I think a lot of individuality comes from. Is like it doesn't have to be the same as everyone else. You can kind of pick your own path and do that. Yeah. So it is something you get to a point where you're like, this is okay. Yeah. I think like you touched on before, the doof community really embraces that and promotes it and pushes it. That like, hey, we can be different, but that's okay still, and we still like what you do, and there's nothing wrong with what you do, but this is our way, and we want to keep doing this.
But also, and also being okay with messing up or fucking up or having it. Yeah, you got
to be okay with the failure that comes along
rather
with it
than try and like kick dirt over your troubles or whatever. Like. And being vulnerable with that, it's quite liberating.
Well, it all comes back, I guess, when you talk about that kind of stuff, like with like trauma and people hiding it. And it's like if you push trauma down, it's like you know, like the things that put the what would you say, like the things that live underground that pop up and you hit them with a hammer. And knock them back down.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
What would you like, gophers or whatever?
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
It's like you think about trauma. It's like they're just the gophers that pop up and you hit one down, and like then it comes up somewhere else in your life. So okay, my relationship.
That's a really good analogy.
Yeah, so like, my relationship's getting better. So if I knocked that one down, but then I don't know, I'm not eating as well, my diet, or this happens, and it's like a lot of trauma and stuff like that. It's like you gotta. When that gopher comes up, you got to grab it and deal with it and go into it. Because
end up like running in circles a bit.
Yeah, you do. You just
running.
Until you can like really like go into it and actually deal with it and sit in like the trauma that you've done, or like if someone's done something bad to you in that way, like confront them and go through it. And like we talked about before, you can have those difficult conversations where you've got to go into some pretty heavy stuff, with, especially like close people to you. And I think it's like you need to sit in it and understand it, and then how good does it feel afterwards? You're like, oh, that's out.
Notice it,
I feel lighter. I feel generally lighter. I can move again. I can be happy. And it's just like, sometimes you need to go through that crappy conversation or feelings to then come out the other side a bit.
And then you'll notice it's like the whole contrast of everything, you know, like you can't have light without dark. You can't have life, you know. It's you can't have a good day without having a bad day. So when you have a bad day, you have to just notice them, sit in it, and don't try and cover it up or get angry while you're having a bad day. And just basically process it, like just sit in it and process it.
Understand why it was a bad day.
Exactly.
I had a thing where I still kind of do it now and again. I used to do it a lot more than I do now, but just say I had a bad day, I'd go back to my morning of that day and run through, and where it went bad, like the decision that I made that went bad, I look at what I could have done to make it better, and I play my whole day out, but changed one thing. Like maybe I said something, or I made a decision to do this, or I went somewhere and it didn't end up well, and I take myself back to that situation, and then I go, hey, what would happen if I did this, and then play out in my mind what would happen if I had done that up until the point I was at. So it's almost like you live the proper way you should have lived it, and then if it arises again, because a lot of time with stuff like that, it comes up all the time, and you don't approach it the right way. You're like, all right, I'm going to do what I thought and saw as being the good thing, and then see if that works. But like, you can't just keep running doing the same thing.
You'll just burn out, or just try and, you know, dust stuff under one rug and then it comes out the other side. I actually worked with a sports psychologist in Townsville that worked with the Cowboys, the rugby team.
Not the strippers.
No, not the urban Cowboys.
Not the urban Cowboys. They're a different kind of Cowboys.
I want 4 quarters out there.
Who's got the oranges? Mike, you got the oranges.
Yeah, the halftime show.
Imagine the Cowboys playing at the Cowboys. Oh, that's Inception right there. Anyway,
and so she was saying the process that she runs through with some athletes. That it's like, okay, you've been having a bad run for a few games now. What are you doing differently to when you were, you know, having a good run, and basically get them to analyze what's changing. And I I did my own, I guess, of analysis. Of that, analyzing myself, and I brought it down to some pillars, like some fundamental pillars, which is, there's like 4, I think 3 or 4 or 5,
12 or 15. Who's counting?
Cleanliness of yourself and your environment, and or maintaining that, healthy eating, exercise, creativity, output, and sometimes
connection with others as well.
Community. There's it's like, so like, be like water, I guess, where, when it's the most reflective when it's still. So if you want to reflect, do some alone time. And then, but not for too long, because stagnant water gets yucky. So I think, that was the 5th one that I... Cheers.
I think that comes back to just like knowing yourself and sitting in your thoughts and like understanding your triggers, because a lot of people don't get their triggers, and like they'll just get angry when something happens, and it's like next time you get angry at something that you normally get angry at, stop and think about what you're doing and
dissect it.
Dissect it. Why does this make me angry? Why do I keep getting in this situation? How do I make this better? How do I stop this from happening? And why does this make me angry in the first place? Like, why does that matter so much?
Fully.
Really dive into it.
Put it into perspective.
It's funny when you catch yourself in like a shit mood. I think you're real angry and pissed off, and you kind of stop and like you look at yourself in a third person. And you're like, why am I actually so angry? Like, why does this make me so mad? Why am I pissed off? And then you break it down. You're like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's so minor, but it's like in your brain, you might be hungry, or you might be like had a shit day at work, or
tired, like
something's built up. It's just like really dive into that and be like, all right, well, I need to change these 3 things, and I'll probably be happy again. And you know your triggers. Like once you find your triggers and you know how to like pull yourself out of a shit day or a shit mood, it's like, 'cause like there's no point of feeling that way for like any longer than you have.
You have to, or like overanalyzing as well. For a bit there, I was just punishing myself, like sitting in the bad experience, but not really doing much.
Not fixing it either. Yeah.
But I guess from a young age, it was like, going through with some like childhood trauma and stuff. I was like, well, and this is where the army came in. I was like, well, this is what's going on. What do I need to do to fix it? How long is it going to take? And then focus on that. And I think I was listening to a podcast you did with Jason, and you guys were talking about. It really hit me the other night, actually, talking about operating from pleasure or pain.
Yeah. That's pretty much our driving force for anything.
Yeah.
And it's funny because me and Jace both are the same thing, where we're motivated more by pain than by pleasure. So it's like his failure of his podcast not working motivated him more. I think my thing is like failing at writing motivated me more than the actual pleasure of winning.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to lose. I hated the feeling. I hated to like let myself down. I hated that. But then winning didn't like. I don't know. It's weird. It's like I don't care about winning, but I hate losing.
Yeah,
it's a weird one, isn't it? It's like you can't have one without the other. But it's like I don't really enjoy praise that much, and I don't enjoy when people try and like. I guess like Christmas was always weird for me. I'd feel uncomfortable getting presents.
I agree.
And then when people would praise me as well, I would kind of shut off and put up a wall. I seen a thing. Jace Gypsy Tales did a podcast with Sam, and I remember watching. He's similar as well. When he'd get a lot of praise, he'd kind of put a wall up and shut off.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that are really uber successful, like they don't like being praised, like they just like being normal kind of thing.
You don't want to be put on a pedestal.
We're just normal. And I'm not trying to say I'm like to that level, but it's just like when a lot of people praise me for stuff, I can't like I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
I was like, it's like it's cool, but like I don't know. I just don't enjoy like compliments or like I'd rather just help other people and get like that's cool and see their reaction, and their reaction's enough. You don't have to say
you don't have to verbalize it. That language is already there.
You see it physically, but I've always been kind of a weird one to
fully
receiving stuff.
I really struggled with that one a bit, even with like compliments from like the significant partner or something like that. And I remember a friend in Townsville was like I kind of got shut off a bit because of that. And she said, just, it's not brushing it off, but just say, "Oh, thanks so much," And I was just doing that over and over again, and it's not necessarily brushing it off, but it's also accepting it, just off the hip, just accept it straight away, and then you don't have to linger in it too much. And,
you don't have to overthink it.
No, you just, "Oh, thanks so much, man. Oh, yeah, cheers. I like what you do, or whatever." Yeah. And just move out of it relatively quick, I guess. But also with we're overcritical of our own workings and stuff and things, and
we're our worst critic, really.
But at the same time, to actually sit back, if you're going to judge yourself on how you wrote or how this edit was or whatever, and criticize every frame or each section or whatever, then when you do good, you actually have to sit in it and
you realize I did actually
this is actually fucking sick.
Yeah.
And you got yourself there and bath in that for a bit, because otherwise, I guess you'll burn yourself out. And
or what's the point?
Yeah, and then there's like too much of that as well, like celebrating too soon, or like I remember this Holden ad when I was young. It was like, the day you celebrate is the day you stop trying as hard.
Yeah.
And like,
it's kind of sad in that way that I do agree with that, but it's also like you say, like you kind of want to enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Like it would be good to actually really sit in
celebrate it.
Celebrate it, yeah, like
celebrate it for sure.
Because it's not like with the racing thing as well. It's like this isn't going to go forever.
Yeah,
this is going to be over one day. And I guarantee I'm going to miss it. And like I'm sure with you and DJing, it's like you're going to miss it.
Yeah. So
it's like you should actually sit in it more and enjoy it and be like. Like sometimes I'll like be at a World Cup and I'll just like look out and I'll be like, what am I doing? Like this is insane.
Yeah.
Like and the speeds we go and like everything. It's like it's like it's not normal.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch World Cups and you'd be like, this isn't normal. Hey, It's the speed they go and where we go and the places and the people and like there's people with chainsaws and foghorns and flares and you're going through and you're just in this zone and you're doing these gaps you've never done before and you're like, holy shit, this is wild.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. And, and then it's like
you catch yourself going like, did I do that shit?
Well, it's like sometimes like an after party or something, I'll kind of like, like reflect on that. But in the moment, and then if you don't get the result you want, then you worry about that and it's all the next. It's just like, you just want to finish and look around and be like, oh my God, this is sick. Because I think anyone trying to be perfect at anything, you're very critical of yourself. So then you kind of lose the joy of it all because you are just like, how do I go quicker? How do I get faster? How do I do this? Yep. And you kind of don't stop, smell the roses and just go, hey, this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
this is
for sure. Sick. Have fun with it.
Just enjoy it.
I think
fun.
That's really.
It's because it's funny. I always look at why you get into anything, and you get into anything because you enjoy it or you see it as being something you're going to enjoy. And then as you get better at it, it suddenly adapts this new like angle of like, oh, but if I get good, then I might get paid for it, or like this might happen. And then at some point you stop enjoying it, and it's like, because I always like find it funny how I started riding with all my buddies. I was the young kid that always like latched on to all my brother's friends and my friends, and we went riding with like 10, 15, 20 people, and it's gone from that to I kind of just ride by myself all the time now, and that's just because I'm training during the working week and stuff, and it's just like the change in it all, that everyone got normal jobs and everyone, but it's just funny looking back, and it's like the actual reason I got into this isn't really as relevant now as it used to be, so it's like it's definitely a thing I kind of like think about, like the change in that. But it's funny how stuff does change like that in a way, but it's like it's not going to be here forever, so
that's it.
Enjoy it while it is here.
For sure. Yeah, no, I can relate with video gigs and stuff like that.
Because we've kind of left stripper territory now.
Yeah,
so hell, wait, we'll finish.
Dove into stripper psychology.
We'll finish that off. We can put a nail in that one.
Yeah,
and
sweet.
Then move on to the next element that makes Richard Tebb a wizard.
Yeah.
So what happened there? So you did that for how long? Do you reckon?
I did that for about 4 or 5 years, and I did regular gigs. There'd be like sometimes 2 to 3 a weekend.
Yeah.
And sometimes on the same night, and it's just like...
Are they tiring?
Oh, yeah, fully.
Like, it's a full workout.
Yeah, like, I think this the rigmarole of, like, gearing up. You'd have someone, like security and music, and someone have all your kit ready and get a tan done and glitter applied and all that jazz. And it was exhilarating, like, the adrenaline hit as you're like going in. You're just like, it's like dropping in at a foam pit or like something like that.
I just imagine like the guys on like a battleship or like a cruiser, like the guy that has like the like earplugs on and he's like waving like planes to take off. I just imagine one of those guys just in the wings, like come on, and it's just stripper.
Yeah. I had someone that would help stoke me up as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
not like that.
Did you have a hype guy?
Yeah, I had a hype guy for sure.
Was he also a stripper, or was just he
did a couple of gigs. His name's Marty, absolute legend. He was one of the other bosses.
Yeah,
and he'd throw some hype around and stuff, and get it going, and then it was I didn't actually do much choreography with it. It was all like improv.
Yeah.
I
really
guess,
better, hey?
Which is good because you just don't know. Like even something like the layout of the room could throw you if you've had a routine or something. So being able to adapt,
a bit smaller or larger.
And I'd definitely like a funny move would be where the hen or something or someone's in the chair, just to do a quick like check of how heavy the chair and everything is, because like that you could get caught out and do a back. And so I fully stole a move where you pick the hen and the chair up at the same time, and then drop the chair straight from straight from the movie.
And she's on you. Or...
Yeah, pretty much. You're like holding her like that. Yeah.
I've never watched Magic Mike, so
it's pretty funny.
I could get some points here. I reckon it would just for a laugh. I reckon I could do it for like just a laugh. Just
dude, it's so much fun.
Just the inventory.
Fully. Well, we could make it happen.
I know a guy. I know a few guys. Because I think you suffer from the same disease I do, and it's kind of like it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. But the thing, it's like I feel like we try and juggle a lot of things. Like it's like you don't want to just do one thing. It's like I kind of don't want to. I want to be a jack of all trades kind of thing. Fully. And I think it's a lot more exciting because, like you said, you get a more diverse range of people that I think you learn from, and I think you get a lot of skills.
It's exciting, learning something new and that's why I'm so hooked on DJing and stuff at the moment. It's just how can I be better? How can I?
Because you had a little stint there where, like, you're still obviously doing it, but you were kind of going down the photography, videography side.
Yeah.
And you went. That's when I kind of first met you. That was like you were going into that, but you were still DJing a little bit. But
I only just started actually. That was my first ever set at. It was like just a renegade stage, open decks kind of thing. Throw your name down, and I did that, and that was. Because I remember that was about a year ago.
Yeah, you were DJing just in our kind of camp area, and I saw you DJing then, and that was like the first thing I kind of saw. But that was like the beginning of it because you were into photography and videography there, and then because I remember when I came here afterwards, you were kind of on the fence about which way you wanted to go.
Yeah,
because it's hard to juggle both of those, especially at like an actual festival.
It's like time wise is the big one. There's a lot of stuff goes behind the scenes with DJing and obviously with filmmaking and podcasting.
Just cables, man.
Yeah.
Cables and power.
And so I was kind of like my camera broke just recently, and so it was getting fixed for like 3 months. So I just have had the last 3 months without the camera, just DJing and also being a bit more present at festivals and whatever it is.
And you've enjoyed that more? Because I feel like you're more in the DJ. Like you seem to get more enjoyment out of DJing.
Yeah,
I think it's like how you stoke
sure.
people up, and like you said, like that.
Yeah,
you get people going.
That instant feedback.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Just to it's just to stoke people up with the music that you like, or your stage presence, or your stokery in January.
Stokeanomics.
But yeah, like I was going pretty hard with my own business with photography and video. I actually picked up the camera when I was in the army, and when I was injured and I was doing gigs for like Make-A-Wish Foundation and stuff in the battalion and brigade and stuff like that, and that kind of what started it. And then I actually I found like the business side of the house, and then rating your value and what you charge and stuff to be the not fun bits. But at the moment I'm really enjoying doing multiple things, a bit of like coaching, mountain bike coaching, and DJing is by far the funnest for sure.
Nothing gets stale then. Like nothing. No, it's like every time it's like something new. You're like, okay, and then you're like
have a break from one thing, and
because you do. I don't know. For me anyway, like with racing, I still love racing, but yeah, it's like the podcast was kind of like a thing to like refresh that because it's all the same people and same things, but you get it. It's just it's like another goal.
A different facet.
It's another goal because it's like. I'm at the start of this again. It's like it's big jumps. It's big jumps to get there. Where like with the mountain biking, it's really small, intricate.
Yeah.
Like I always talked about I was talking to someone a while ago. Like for me to go like 2 seconds quicker or 3 seconds quicker, what does that mean in like time on the bike, stretching, recovery, diet, runs? Like it's just like to get that little bit of extra time squeezed out. Like
minute.
Oh, it's insane. Like it's like, okay, well, what is that? Is that another? I've got to do 300 Ks a week for the next 3 weeks to get 2 seconds.
Gnarly.
Like, and you break it down like that. But then, like with the podcast thing, it's like, oh, I do like a different thumbnail, or put this out that way. Oh, that's heaps more views. That's more engagement. It's like it's these big jumps, and obviously that kind of picks up momentum as well. But then it gets to a certain point, I think everything kind of slows down
plateaus a little bit,
and then you've got to find, I guess, new ways to reinvent yourself, or reinvent the thing
innovative,
you're doing.
And it's like that last doof, that multiverse, that crowd that I played to was probably like 100 people more than the most people I played to.
Yeah.
So like to go out there and be like, all right, this is what I trained for, kind of deal.
Yeah.
And just to get the thrill after, during and afterwards, and just to soak it in, it's like, it's and it would be same with this as well, to like get that feedback and
exactly
feel that jump.
Well, the good thing with this as well, it's a bit different than DJing, but it's like it's all a feel real response.
Yeah,
like it's very like I always talk about it, and it makes me feel really good that like when I put this out there, every time I don't really get like comments or I care so much about likes or downloads. It's like it's a real response from someone in real life, like whether it be at a race or in person. People come up to me and they'll say like they enjoyed stuff, and I was like, oh, that's real, like that's awesome. I really enjoy that, and I get a lot more out of that than I think
the virtual kind of
the virtual
feedback.
world. It's like it's just feels a bit shallow and a bit like it's good when you get a nice message. I actually got a really nice message today from a guy who listened to the Making Up the Numbers podcast I did. And he said he was listening to it with his son, and his son's 8, and he's like, like he was just saying he really enjoyed that, like his son's getting into riding and really enjoying it, and there's people like talking about obviously what I'm talking about that he can like look up to and then go after. And I'm like, that's cool. That's cool that like that's from a dad. Like it's like
that's worth more than a few thousand likes or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know.
And I think you've got to like I've always got to kind of check myself and go like I only started doing this podcast because I want to learn things from new people, and then sharing it, it's like that's just a bonus. Then if you get stuff like that, that's so even cool. A bigger bonus. So I think when people get so caught up in like views and downloads and like all this other stuff that's kind of just doesn't mean anything, it's just like just think about that one helping one person should be enough. That should be enough.
Anything more is a bonus. And I think that's something that really stunts people's creativity and output is comparison. Like there's this quote, Theodore Roosevelt, it's like, comparison is a thief of joy. And I found that definitely, like, as soon as I picked up the camera, I was watching like Peter McKinnon vlogs and tutorials and stuff, and I was like, I want to do this. And this was back in like 2016, 2017. And I actually filmed a vlog, and I still have it back then. But one day I'm actually going to edit it and be like, this is from where, this is the first go. And that'll be a good little nostalgic
thing to have.
Yeah. But
it's even fun. It's like coming back to like the whole vulnerability thing of like stepping out there. And like, I know when I started doing like the vlog stuff, like you do feel kind of vulnerable. You do. Like, what do people think? And even like the podcast and stuff. And I think especially now when you can get a lot of judgment for certain things you're saying, certain things you do. So like a lot of the time people are just like, I'm just not going to say or do anything. And they kind of go off in their shell a little bit. So I think there's a bit of worry attached to like putting yourself out there, but like once you realize you do it, you realize
it doesn't matter.
No, if you're pushing something like that, is generally just like a bit of fun and a laugh. It's like, well, who cares? Like, obviously, if you're pushing pretty toxic shit, then it's not good. But like, I don't feel like that's happening.
It would be easy to get sucked into all the stats, and we definitely notice the negative ones more than the positive one. I think it's like 5 compliments we have to have before we can take some negative feedback or something. But I had two thumbs downs from like this Flickety Sticks video. And I was like, what?
You worry so much. You worry so much about that. I always find that funny. It's just like, because you just really want to question. It's like, why didn't you like that?
I want to talk about it. I want your feedback.
Because like you can't, like constructive criticism is a real thing. Like, if you do it in a good way, you don't be a dick about it. You don't go, oh, this sucks. You'd be like, okay, well, what could be better? Like that would be like, instead of just giving someone a negative thumbs down, be like, I think you should do this or could do this, and like give me something to work with, and then to be able to actually like take that information and don't just put up a wall, like, and apply it and
be like, okay, there's merit to that, like, and being like, open to it is massive. Because
that's the thing, especially when you're learning anything, it's like, I think it's just all your delivery, like especially when you have a kid or something, or you're teaching younger people, like you can't bite the head off, because that's just gonna
negative reinforcement.
That's all. I think what starts traumas and stuff. Because you don't know
close up and
you don't know the effect that's going to have. So if you can be like kind of gentle and like a bit more compassionate when you're explaining something or like teaching something, I think it's just going to speed up everything and improve it for sure. I think a lot of people jump down kids' throats when they don't know something. Like, he's a kid. He's a kid. Give him a break.
Fully. They actually started applying that strategy in learning when I was on my way out of the Defence Force. So instead of like, if someone forgets to do this or that, and they're like, instead of like yelling at them, especially when you're doing a live shoot or something, they're actually going, hey, how could you make your body position better or whatever?
And think about it.
Think about it and make them think about it, where you're going to be triggering that thought process to actually, okay, this is why we do it this way.
So I think fucking freaking out in a battle situation. Like, obviously sometimes you got to be put in stressful situations, but it's like you kind of want to be put in stressful situations once you've realised how to work through
and it's
them.
Dialed in as well. That repetition. And,
yeah, it'd be like a gradual build with that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
All right, so we've gone.
Yeah, so
we've gone.
Strippers,
Army,
nail in the head.
Yeah, stripper, photography. Now you're doing way more DJing stuff now. So you've got you had a few gigs. We went to the one in St. Helens when you did one there, and that ended up being a lot bigger than
that. Was way bigger than we expected.
Yeah, because the guy was just like, I remember we got there, we couldn't order food. I'm pretty sure most of they ran out of a lot of alcohol as well.
Yeah,
and they were just like, what is going on?
Yeah, they were pretty hot and cold at one point. This is Ryder on the coast in St. Helens, right next to the main road, and we were like, oh, let's put on some parties. And this first one was like a long weekend, and it was just me playing, so that was like 8-9 hours and I just pretty much just got drunk the whole time.
It was fun though.
It was so much fun, and the timing was just. We're actually going to try and. That's a record. We did like 10.5 grand over the bar, so that's the standard. So we're going to try and break that next month, the next long weekend, 13th of March.
Be there.
Chief Get Down, Finchy.
Anyone that's in Tassie.
Nolsey, Owski. It's going to be fucking on 13th of March.
Going off.
Yeah, so that'll...
that'll be sick. That'll be really good.
But yeah, so that was pretty fun and unexpected, but I think it was just like the long weekend, and it was... Yeah, so that's really taken me a bit. I've kind of just like watched and learned and helped out at gigs and stuff, and... Definitely, like, big shout out to my boy Owski for teaching me so much.
Yeah, the wizard.
He's awoken this creature. For
he
sure.
knows everything. He's we need more Owskis. Yeah, we need to clone. The country would be run better. Yeah. Let's kidnap him and life would spin a lot. Yeah, the earth would spin in just a nicer way.
I think so, and that's actually a funny story. We actually met at a doof. Called Repulse. Yeah. And he had a 110, CRF 110 there, and we started chatting, and I was like, oh yeah, I've got an airbag up at home. And he's like, yeah, no way. What colour is it? And I'm like, oh, red and black. He's like, you bought that off me, but I just got Boris to pick it up for me.
Oh, so you didn't even know.
And so, and then he was showing me some gnarly videos, like motocross stuff, like lighting tyres on fire, doing burnouts and stuff. And I'm like,
just give him a hug.
I'm like, I want to do this. Yeah. Like, you know. And
I love you.
Pretty much. And
start hugging him.
And then, like, he taught me to DJ. He taught me to, like, freestyle motocross on a 110 and some big bike stuff. And just even, you know, make the doof campsite better and set up gigs and stuff. He's just on it, man. Like, he'll shred anything if you leave it with him long enough.
Yeah,
he'll figure out a way to make it better.
He's good at anything. Yeah. Hey, I've got a friend, Carlton Jury, that's the same. They're just like, they look at something and they're always like, how can we do this better? And they start. They're just like their brain ticks this different way. Yeah, and it's because didn't you find out he got reconnected with his dad after like he didn't know that. His dad, he was a sperm donor, wasn't he? Fully, yeah. And like his family that he knew didn't really fit in. No. And then he found out like not that long ago that his dad was like a scientist.
Yeah, he's like a astrophysicist or astronomer or something like that.
And all this shit just suddenly
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, it checks out.
So he's been awesome. Just advice with like buying this tractor and he's just the stuff he's done up here at the Froth Factory has been incredible. Yeah. So like
that's a good segue to the Froth Factory. Yeah, we've learned what's made you into a wizard. Yeah. Now we've got to talk about where the wizard lives.
Yeah, right.
Because I came here first time. What would it have been? Probably about a year.
Was a week? Was it a week after the doof or a few weeks after Nationals or something?
It was in maybe late March or early April. Maybe early April, I think. Yeah, because I'd spent a bit of time in Derby, but never here. And
then we filmed the Are You Going?
Was that the first?
I'm pretty sure.
Might have been, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was the first time, because you drove up with me from South. Yeah. And we were chatting away, and we're like, oh, that was pretty much a podcast.
That was pretty funny. Hey, that was like the second or third time I met you.
About a year ago, I reckon.
It's because I met Bal on the 16th of March, and that's coming up next month, so it would have been just after that. But yeah, I remember coming up and we were chatting, and then we ended up going to film a video. And I remember it was so funny. Like Belle was kind of like what's going on? Because like I suddenly met all like her friends, and then just like slid right into this like when you just slide into a group just like effortlessly, and you're like,
and they all think it's like you've been there for a while or whatever.
Yeah. It's like no, I'm new.
Well, where did you come from?
Yeah, just pop up. I feel like I like doing that when I kind of slide into somewhere and everything just works.
So
but
sick.
No, that was the first time coming to the Froth Factory.
That was rad.
What are the plans with this? Because obviously you've got a train that's pretty much a mini DJ booth. You've got a foam pit that you're currently building up. You kind of just want to make this thing like just literally again comes back to stoking people up. You just want this to be somewhere people can come and
creative output,
have a good time. Hey,
like I remember when I first bought this place. So I moved to Derby, did a bit of shuttle bus driving and stuff.
Wait, before we talk, why did you come back to Tassie? Like, what was the big driving factor?
Boris came down here for 3 months, ended up moving down here. I came back down to near like Hobart Brewing Co. Yep. Also where I met Belle from, and then anyway.
Yeah.
And then I was unsure about whether or not I was going to move back, and it was around Dark Mofo time. Ended up staying for 2 months. Was meant to stay for 2 weeks. Met this like bicycle polo crew and started playing like bicycle polo 2 times a week. Fucking beers and just good times.
The place again.
And then I was like, I'm moving back here for sure. And then there was this guy who was like promising me like this mountain bike tour guiding gig out of a helicopter around Tassie, and he went bankrupt. And I found that out once doing all my like shipping and stuff like that. And then I was like talking to Boris going, looks like I'm going to Derby then. And then, came down and just stayed in the car in the campsite for about 6 weeks, just, knowing the ins and outs and, pardon me. And, got a job at a few different joints, driving buses and stuff. And then, did a bit of caretaking up the road here at the cabins over winter, and then this place came up, and I was like, future self is going to be pretty stoked on this. And this was back in 2019. 2019. I've been here for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I actually walked inside, and there was like a hand-carved wand on this like bench. And it was like nighttime pissing down on the road. And I was like, no way. Like, this is crazy.
This is a sign.
And, and then, like, went and visited the river afterwards, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. And it's just enough out of Derby to have a bit of space. So we're on, like, 14 acres. And I remember sitting on the deck here when I first moved in and hanging out with my mate Rom, and we were just talking about the potential here. And it's so overgrown there that we just didn't quite know what was going on. And then the ideas just kind of started to come in over time. So it's actually the past like 4 or 5 months has been the most, the most productive with the growth
stuff
of
happening,
getting stuff done. And so basically the idea or the plan with this place is to have this multiple. I basically want to integrate like doofing / like music and creative arts and stuff with extreme sports, because there's a lot of people out there that don't get exposed to like a 110 doing a backflip into a foam pit or whatever, and I think it's just so motivating, and also having the space to like try something new, get someone on a 110, which is a great entry bike to learn on, and just to see them like froth on that. And so basically, I want to eventually get a little skate ramp and stuff, and just, that old Owski attitude that we can get it done. Like if you want to do this, we could make a rope swing with a harness attachment on a bike, or and basically just open it up and have little events up here, and just many hands make a cool time.
And again, I think you're definitely on the way to doing that as well, like seeing how it is progressing. And it would have been good if they actually did have the EWS here that they were supposed to, because that could have been like a cool thing to kind of like open it up, a
bit of a showcase and stuff.
What you're doing, what could be done.
Yeah, if anything, like I did realise, and I got caught a bit down because having all these ideas but not having the mechanism to do them, and that I just felt like it was just it would start to go into the distance, and then it was like, fuck it, I'm getting this tractor with a 4-in-1 bucket on the front,
and start moving stuff
moving stuff around, and can start just pushing, clearing, just to see what we're working with and stuff. And then we had that Bio Blitz shindig here. And
that turned into a hurricane. Like we had like a big party here, and like honestly, probably the worst weather we could have been.
Yeah, it was like
with.
30 mil of rain.
Oh, it just didn't stop, did it? It just didn't stop. But it kind of like looking back now, like it did make it good.
It did.
But it was hectic.
We trudged through, and like so you've got like this train carriage that a week before, not even a week, I think it was like 3 days.
3 or 4 days.
Refitted. And built it into like a DJ booth, and then the dance floor was leveled by DDoS here on the tractor, doing like 6-hour stints at a time.
Yeah, just getting it done.
That's when I had hours up on that thing.
Yeah, so I had a wrecked shoulder, so I'm like, well, I'm moving to
and
that was a good time.
That was fun. Just the whole process and the team.
I remember being in that train carriage, absolutely just on a good level, and you were playing this real wobby.
Wobby. And
I just remember being on there, I was like, oh, this is insane.
Yeah,
maybe just have like a little train session again. Like
like boiler room.
Yeah, just get the main homies out. Like nothing massive. Just fill the train.
Yeah,
I think that was awesome.
That's what will end up with my birthday and stuff. I'm not going to try and do all the bells and whistles like the last one. And just
it's a lot of work and it's a lot of worry. It's hard to enjoy it.
For so long.
Yeah, it's hard to enjoy something when it's that big, because it's like you have so much riding on it, so much worry, so many people in your environment. That you trust a lot of them, but then they have a friend, and it's just
it gets a bit complex and stuff. And but yeah, no, that was a really fun. That was a really fun time, regardless of the weather and mud. But so that's cool. So so it's like so train carriage, dance floor, and then foam pit airbag. So you kind of drop in, and so the DJ will be able to see
everything
sending
going
a backflip.
On. Yeah.
And then there's some other jump trails off to the left, down in front.
I still need to go do them, actually. I haven't done them yet. I should have done them before, yeah. We need to go down for a look for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So is there anything else you really want to touch on then?
I think that's pretty good.
We've figured out how you create a wizard and then where a wizard lives.
Yeah.
And no, this place is epic, man. Like it is like when I was living here for that little bit, it's like you just wake up to birds like chirping outside, and you are very disconnected, but then you've got like Derby trails that are right there,
1,500
and they're insane. They are insane. Like that, every time I come here, I smile.
Yeah,
like it makes me really enjoy and love mountain biking.
Yeah,
like anyone that hasn't ridden Derby, come and ride it. Like I rode it down my e-bike. If you've got an e-bike, come to Derby. It's like built for e-bike. It's like everything just flows well. Like you carry speed. It's just. Yeah, I can't speak more highly. Like Maydeen is awesome for like more rougher, bigger bike kind of stuff. But if you want to just come and enjoy riding and flow and not be worried, like
there's plenty to do around here as well. The lake and like
it's getting more trendy. Yeah, there's more food spots.
It's definitely getting trendy.
Yeah, but that's just Tassie in general with everything cycling related. It's becoming the mecca. Which it'd be nice if we got some more of this in the mainland. But hopefully slowly it's coming.
But yeah, it's been absolutely heaven out here, and I'm so stoked to be here. And and so if like you have an idea or want to collaborate with anything, just send us a message or something, and we could do some cool stuff,
make something happen.
But pretty keen on France.
Yeah, you're coming over.
Yeah, that's a thing. I don't know how long I'm going for.
Yes, you never want to know how long.
I think it's going to be a one-way ticket and see what happens.
See where you end up.
DJing, bit of video work,
come to World Cup, dude. You'll lose your mind.
I'm gonna flip my lid for sure.
If you're in France, come to World Champs in Ligier.
Yeah,
like you'll be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like it is. The French go off. Like they are insane, and that track is just like really super fast, super tight. The town's like a full mountain bike party town. Like you just hire a bike there and ride all day lifts. It's a dream.
Try and play some tunes again for kick-ons.
Yeah, we'll find you a spot. We'll get you on somewhere.
Yeah.
No,
it's so sick. The stars and planets are aligning, and not really trying to question it now, and just run with it and see how how we can go. Like, just keep hooking
yes,
in.
Man.
There's some
yes man mentality.
there's definitely some cool stuff in the works, and just takes a bit of time. But yeah,
that's sick.
Well,
is there any like best bit of like life advice you'd give to someone listening? What would be like your kind of like mantra, or like your core value, or something that you would give to someone? Yeah, no, it's a big one.
No, that's good.
It's a good way to finish.
I reckon straight off the hip for me is that whole the inkling to try something new, and I think to be fully vulnerable with it, and it's okay to be shit at it. It's okay. Because you're just starting, like everyone's been there. So to go into something, if say mountain biking or whatever, it's okay to be bad at it, and to ask questions and be around the people that are good at it, and it'll rub off onto you. Like, it's like you watch someone do a trick over and over again. Well, then one day that's going to click. Like, so just immerse yourself with people that want the best for you and want you to fucking give a bit extra, and just analyze your environment. Be like, all right, you're sick. Things are good. We stoke each other up. Okay, tough as it is, but we kind of like hold me back a bit or whatever, and just.
I think that's being okay with letting go of people that don't actually serve you in the way you want to be served, or like they don't resonate with you anymore. It's like it's okay to let go of those people.
For sure.
And that doesn't mean saying anything or being rude or being mean, but it's just your time.
Not on the same frequency anymore.
It's just your time kind of gets less, and you're on your path and they're on theirs.
I had a psychologist actually say to me once that it's okay to love someone and not have a relationship with them.
Yeah,
that was probably one of the most helpful things that let me cut the cord with some stuff, and
some people,
and you just feel your life will get better.
Yeah.
So
old people go, new people.
Yeah, exactly. People like the rain, like they'll be there for 10 minutes or a few days or a week or whatever, but just be grateful for that time that they're there.
And people change as well. That's the thing. Like, I've had friends that like I might not have as much to do with, and then I'll see them in 2 years and they're a different person.
Yeah,
and you're like,
fully.
Oh, cool. I've got more time for you now.
Yeah, that's it.
And
it's
just like that kind of thing happens all the time. We're all growing, we're all learning.
Yeah, so
maturing.
Yeah, so that's the roller coaster we're on, and yeah.
Sick. All right, Mr. Wizard.
Fuck yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Wizard.
Oh man, thanks so much for having me. This is sick. Give us some bloody.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers, dog.
I think we're done.
Yeah,
fucking
solid.
Drop the mic, you fucking bag.
Wow.
Thank you, mate. That was good.
Yeah, that was really good.
How long did we go for? Hour and a half?